Hey, folks, welcome to the Go for Diamond call this evening. And Tammy and I are absolutely excited to have the opportunity to share with you this very, very important training. The Success Cycle series contain a lot of the basic principles and the basic functionality, the basic activities. I call it the money-making activities, where often it's where most people tend to not attend, but unfortunately, it is one of the most important trainings, especially following up. This is where most people, I believe, in our industry that are really trying to make a living out of this tend to not get the level of success they're looking for because they lack the skills in following up. They give up too quickly. It's not just about giving up too quickly, but it's also not reading the signs, and not only that, but not following through on a person they might have contacted, where often people will make the assumption that, oh, they're not going to be interested, they're not really calling me back. Every time I speak to them, they don't seem to have the level of interest. Well, you see, that's what the follow-up is all about, is to build that level of interest, to build the curiosity, to help them see the big picture and the vision. Remember that we live in a very negative and pessimistic environment, everywhere around us. So people always tend to assume the worst, and often it's actually much better than we give it credit to. But the fact is, if you don't follow up with certain of the principles that we're going to talk about, you may miss out on some of the most amazing prospects that can have an enormous amount of success, that could have obviously a very big impact in your success. So Tammy, what are your thoughts before we start sharing the slides here?
Yeah, and I think it's really important to build that initial connection and find something that you'll have in common, so that when you do follow up, your better chances of connecting with that person is a lot higher. And the reason we're saying that is because we're back out in the field, we're back doing shows, we're back connecting with people. And not only are we having a lot of fun doing it, but we're really, really connecting with people. So congratulations for everybody who's just out there making it happen. We're watching you online. I know some of you are spending a lot of time still doing social media connection. Congratulations for that. I mean, any way you connect with people, as you'll see in the presentation, is important. And this is the key. The follow-up is where the fortunes are made, and the great relationships are made as well.
I totally agree, Tammy. And by the way, those of you who are on Facebook Live, I know you're jumping in right now. We want to welcome you. Thank you for joining in. And again, feel free to participate and give us some thumbs up and questions. Barry, you're very welcome. And again, thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live, and of course, all of you here on with us here on Zoom. Now, when we look at the process, and I know this is common sense, but I think it's important that we've revised some of the basics, where it all begins with prospecting, right? There's no follow-up if there's no initial connection. And before you do the inviting and you start kind of selling the goodies, and the value and everything else, it's good to really focus on the relationship with that person. People tend to want to do business with people they like, they know, and they trust. And especially in this economy today, and the way we do business today, this is a really, really, really important step, and often overlooked, right? People are eager to succeed. They're eager to build a business. They're eager to make the sell, and they kind of overlook the relationship aspect. And it's so important. And as we go through this training, Tammy and I are actually working with some really awesome prospects in Mexico. And we're spending a lot of time on the relationship and the trust factor while we're sharing the information. We'll cover that as we go forward, because there's a lot of follow-up process there. And of course, the number two is the inviting process, where once you feel that it's warming up, and it'll let you know the way they speak to you, the way they talk to you, the way they respond, their body language, even online. I mean, that's one of the things I'm very grateful for, the online presentations and online connection, is we can actually see people's facial expressions, right? Almost like we're together. And then following up is number three, which is what we're going to be talking here tonight. I also wanted to remind you that Tammy and I started podcasts And through this podcast, we share a lot of insights. I believe the last one that we just finished was inviting. So feel free to go back there and listen to this one because it's extracted from these kind of trainings. And tonight, of course, we're doing the follow up. But at the end of the day, the process here is to engage the prospect, to engage the individual to either consider being on the product or becoming an associate, or you can even convert a customer to an associate or vice versa, whatever the situation may be. But the fact is, it's all about the communication and staying connected and stay the flow and stay the course and following up and following through. And this is where we find that most people give up before they have a chance to really see the full potential with this prospect.
Yeah, I find it really, really important to be authentic. You want to be able to build good relationships, regardless whether they get involved right away. You don't scratch anybody off your list. It's all about timing, okay? And it has to be their timing. So it's important to make it about them and build on that and just keep it so real and authentic. And you'll find you'll get a whole lot quicker. We don't hype Max. That's the best thing about our company is we bring hope to the world. And we all know that. We all know it through our products. We all know it through the One Max family mindset. And people are attracted to that. So make sure that you maximize the importance of trust. And here, 80% of the time you spend in building this business is the money-making activities. It is building relationships. It is going out there and connecting, inviting, follow-ups, all of that. That's where you should be spending most of your time doing this. And 20% of that timing is the admin stuff. It is the team building stuff. So look at your business, the hours that you're putting into your business. What percentage are you in with these categories? Because you need to do a shift. If it's not 80% of those money-making activities, if it's not there, you need to change and change that percentage. And of course, if you're brand new, it's 100%. You're just out there doing it and making it happen, building relationships, which are really, really important. So those are the stats in our industry. And you know what's interesting is as you start to build, 20% of the people will bring 80% of your volume. Understand that too.
That's an understatement, Tammy. And there's one thing that I've observed over the past 15 years in building with Max and having the luxury of partnering with some really powerful leaders from all around the world. The one most common denominator that I find with young leaders that have really got a lot of success is they get off the field too quickly and get into the management mode. And that is probably one of the most common challenge that I see is they stop doing what they did that got them to where they were. And then they became big, managers, and they got distracted with all sort of different projects and things. And unfortunately, it takes time to solidify and build solid foundation. So I'm sharing this with you ahead of time because some of you may have some amazing success because you will follow through. Just make sure that when you get to these level of success that you never forget where you come from and always do the basic activities, right? You may not be 80-20 where 80% of your time prospecting and following up and presenting and everything else. 20% you do also need to have time to manage, very important. And I just want to emphasize this as Tammy shared because this is absolutely critical, because at the end of the day the fortune are in the follow-ups. And this is I cannot stress this enough. Any one of you, I'm telling you, just by following through and you follow up activities with everybody that you are in contact with, if you stay the course and don't give up. Let me give you an example of what I do. I have some of you have Aweber. I use Wix. it's the website that I use that you guys are familiar with theactiveteamgroup.com. Well, Wix also has it's like a buffet of tools, and I have my database embedded in there. And every single leads I have, I will actually label them. For example, the Ghana Fest, right? All my leads will be labeled at the Ghana Fest. I have another set of leads with the Humber Bay Fest that we had this past weekend. That's the label that I create. But I also create another label called trade shows, right? So that's going to be include all the Ghana Fest and everything else. So what's happening is this is my system. This is how I'm organized. But I'm just telling you, you need to organize yourself with your leads and your database. I've been sharing this with Scott Anderson. I'm not sure if he's here today, but this is something that I told him is, and he decided to use Aweber. And then within every single contacts that he has, it is in his database. And if something happens, a new product happens, a new event's going on, a new video is out, something new, something fresh, something just shiny and colorful, and you want to share with everybody. For example, we're having an in-home, Tammy and I, every Wednesdays following the trade shows we're doing. So what we're doing here is we create a little flyer, and I send them a little welcome. Thank you for stopping at our booth and all of this stuff. It was a pleasure meeting you. And then we share our invitation. Right now, the people in Ghana that did make the previous one also received that. See, the thing is that every single contact you have, because they're not interested today or whatever, a week or two from now, after you follow up, it doesn't mean that you toss it. You keep your database. This information is worth millions of dollars to big corporations. The fact is you just stay the course and keep dripping the information. And again, you want to be respectful. You want to make sure they know that you want to add them to your database. And most people do not mind if it's not abused and overused, if you understand my meaning. Okay, so the fortune are in the follow-up. So every contacts, every lead you make, do not toss them if they're not interested. Keep them in a database so from time to time you can drop in.
Take a screenshot of this slide. This one here, I found this statistics through, I'm not sure where it was, but when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh. And it really woke me up years ago to the importance of following up. That was back in the days, Chris, when you and we used to buy leads. And that's when I saw this. So 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups after the initial contact, but 44% of the salespeople give up after 1. Imagine. And there's so many people out there floating, looking for something. So look at yourself in this slideshow and see where you are in the follow-up process. That's what I did. So 44% stop following up after 1 rejection, or 1 just not connecting with you, not showing up, not responding. 22% stop following up after 2 rejections, or 14% stop following up after 3 rejections, 12% stop following up after 4 rejections, and 8% do follow up after 5 times. Unbelievable. When I saw that, I really stepped up my game in follow-ups. And we've got lists of people over the years. And it's just a matter of connecting from time to time when things are happening, especially now more than ever. Often we think we don't want to bother people. Does anybody feel that way? If you feel that way in the reactions there, just put a thumbs up. If you feel that way in connecting with people, put a thumbs up, because it's such a normal thing. Yeah, I know. I used to feel that way, that I would be bothering people if I contact them. I mean, obviously there's a process with all of this. You don't want to hound them every single day, but you want to build on the relationship by connecting through questions. Maybe they told you something's come up for them, and just pop them a quick message Just say, I hope everything's okay with you and your family based on a conversation. I'm telling you, these will go so far in building relationship that when the time is right, they're in. And we've
Absolutely.
done this over and over and over. So understand that it's not a rejection to you. It's something is just not clicking right then and there. Maybe they need more information. Maybe something's going on in their life. Maybe you didn't build enough of a relationship with them. And that also is part of the process. Okay, so yeah, I love this slide. It really woke me up.
I totally agree, Tammy. And by the way, Sylvie Cassette, I want to commend you for you took customers and you're doing 4 follow-ups right now. This is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that on your Facebook Live. And this is the process, folks, is don't give up on your leads. I'm telling you, people give up too quickly. And another thing that's important is all the different ways to follow up, right? We're talking here, making a personal phone call. And folks, this is something that, because of social media and everything else, which I'm not putting this down because it's part of our lifestyle, it's part of our communication tools. But sometimes a direct call to that person, it makes a world of difference. It is too easy to drop an email, to send a text, to send a messenger message, WhatsApp message, whatever it is that you use to communicate with your audience. It's very, very important that you make a personal connection. I love, making a connection with Zoom. That contact that we've made in Mexico, this is someone that is looking for a home. And it was awesome because Tammy joined in. I was there. We were a couple and she was with her husband. They're doing this as a couple. Right away, that has created a strong bond, right, on the relationship aspect of things. And we were able to meet each other. She showed me her backyard, and you know what I mean? So Zoom is a very powerful thing. But my point in saying this is don't just limit yourself with a quick text and hide behind the walls or hide behind your technology. You want to be in front of that person, connecting physically or verbally, but at least make a direct connection to that person will make a world of difference. In between that, yes, you can drop some emails, you can drop some text messages and reminders and little, pictures or whatever videos that you may feel or appropriate to share. But that again is just something that's really, really, really important, is to stay connected. Human beings, this is the creature. That's how we function. That's how we operate. We need this human connection. And the moment you disconnect, you become cold very quickly. Okay. So again, these are my thoughts in reference to the process of the following up activities.
Yeah, if you notice, I threw in that woman and the baby because I've worked with a lot of young moms. And one of the big things for them was the excuse was, it's just hard for them to take the time to do this business. And I'm like, I have kids, I got grandkids. We can do 3 ways together. It's never a problem because they can always go on mute. There's always a way. There's always a way to build this business. And so my advice is just get out there and do it. If you have young children, you leverage that. You're going to talk to a lot of moms in this business. Join groups, do things where moms are involved, parks, all this stuff. What a great opportunity to meet people. So yeah, really leverage everything you have to connect with people. This one is the big one, is to discipline the disappointments.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had them. We've all had them, and we need to discipline them because it doesn't mean no forever. And that's what I've always told myself. I never let myself get so low. I just brush it off as quick as I can, and I'm back talking to somebody else. I'm back making another call. I'm back on social media doing something. So learn to discipline your disappointments. And another thing, when you're doing a 3-way call with somebody, and let's say, for example, you have Chris as a third party, and you're the associate, and the person hadn't looked at the information. you want to make sure you don't show any disappointment at all with the prospect, because you never want anybody to feel bad about something that they hadn't done. And no worries. And, that's why we're here. And, you just make that connection, and then you encourage them to have a look at some information when you're finished the call. Like, just make it fun, you guys. This business is a lot of fun. Okay. And again, I keep saying, you have to understand it's not your timing, it's their timing. And when you get that, you'll keep moving. You'll keep moving to the next person.
I completely agree, Tammy. Following up concept and goals. And one thing that's very important is the discipline of time. If you tell someone that you are going to be calling them at a certain time, it's okay from time to time to be late. But if you are making an appointment with someone, folks, especially when you come across the professionals, if you are late, it creates a red flag of lack of discipline, where often the professional may not appreciate it. You'll never know, but it might be the reason why they don't want to do business with you. So this is very important. And it's also to do exactly what you said you would do on the invitation, right? So you want to maintain a level of professionalism. You want to do exactly what you say you're intended to do. I have my friend here that keeps coming back when I do my webinars every time. That
You're a fly friend.
I just don't want to kill it. But for some reason, I just can't put him out, and it just keeps flying around me. And it says, hello, how are you? Okay.
You got good energy.
So what very important here is you will find that you will attract the right people in your business. The other thing that's very important is when you present to someone and you're following up. Let's say you started with a presentation. Here's a prime example. I did a presentation to one of the gentlemen that I met in the morning at the Ghana Fest. And we've been playing a little bit of phone tag. And he actually came into my last presentation on Thursday that I did with Java, the world presentation at 3:00 Eastern time. And after you've seen the presentation, I know now he has a better understanding of what's going on. And we play a little bit of phone tag, and suddenly he's coming at our house, for a presentation on Wednesday. He's not going to be at 8. He wanted to become at 6. So absolutely, he's going to come in at 6. But the fact here is and that's my point, is every time you follow up, just plan your next exposure. Don't just assume that they're going to sign up. And if they don't sign up, but it's done, let's move on to next. No, that's not true, right? All it means is, okay, we need another exposure. And based on your conversation that you are having with that person, then you will have the clues to let you know what's the next step. Maybe they never really tried the product and you need to get on it. Maybe they need to meet someone else and do another third party with a third, person with another, level of approach that may actually complement what is you've done. And always make sure that before you hang up, don't just leave it in the air. Well, call me back when you feel it's ready. This is recipe for disaster. So you always want to be in control, but in a respectful manner, but always have a next exposure. So before you make this call, prepare what the next exposure will be, which could vary a little bit after the conversation. And you have to understand too, that it takes anywhere between 4 to 6 exposure before someone makes a decision. Some might be a little more, some may be a little less. Some people think on their feet and are very fast in making decisions. And also be ready. If someone's ready to sign up on your first call, be prepared. Make sure that you know where to go. You go to the site, you put them in a system, bada boom, bada bing, it's done. So again, be prepared for that. I find that often people are nervous. They did not expect someone to say, I'm in so quickly, and they are not ready, and they lose the sale because they talk their way out of it because you keep talking and adding and talking. Okay. So keep that in mind, which brings me to my number 4 is condense the exposure for better results, right? In some cases, you may want to go through some details on how the system works and the training and the team and the support and the tool. And then, again, make your decision on that. But when you start with someone at the beginning, you want to keep the exposure, as condensed as possible. because your goal is you want to understand where their interest lies and what's their perspective. What's their perspective? How do you feel about this information? And that will give you the clues on what's the next step for you, right? And then share them the benefits, you know. And I know that very often, because we tend to think like consumers, our first instinct is always to talk about the product benefits and all of this. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying it. Make sure you're not always cut out. What's the word? Make sure that you're not always presenting this in a customer point of view, because that's what you'll always have, customers. And I love my customers, but what brings the network, what brings the volume, what brings the business, what grows, what gets you to get to new pin rate, what got you to these wonderful trips incentives, it's not just going to be the customers. The customer will complement, but the customers are fickle and they may come, they may go, whatever. But an associate, they will communicate, they will plan, they will, you know, they have a vision, they have goals, and they want to reach their goals, and that's what you're looking for. So also make sure that you share the benefits based on their needs, but don't just lean towards the product because that's how you feel that you should talk about. So make sure there's balance on that, right? So and the last point is show them how to sign up, even if they're not ready. Let me show you how it's whenever you feel you're ready to go, let me walk you through how simple this is, right? So you kind of groom them into the process of enrolling. Before I move on to the next slide, Tammy, did you want to add something else to this?
Yeah, a perfect example, Erica. I mean, that's what I did with you when we did our Zoom. Erica and I met through Facebook, had a conversation, and I saw that there was a great connection. I walked her right into the website, showed her how she could sign up and the different packages. And she decided she wanted to try the product first, and then she ordered her package. So just as easy as that. So I just want you to know, don't be afraid to move people towards looking at the opportunity, looking at the different packages. Don't be afraid to do that, because you just never know who's hungry enough to come aboard and seize the bigger picture on what this company's all about. So yeah, don't let your fears take you out of the game, because there's a lot of people out there right now that are looking. So 6 questions that you can ask in the follow-up. And it's a great system. I love working with this system as well. So did you get a chance to watch the videos? If they say no, express the urgency and ask them when they have a chance to have a look at the videos. If they say yes, here are the magic questions. And as you get comfortable connecting with people, you'll have your own way of doing things, but it's a good qualifying questionnaire for them to make a decision to sign up. They're actually telling you what they're going to do to build this business. So it's really cool. So I want you to write these things down because they're important. What did you like best, the product or the money or both? And let them answer. Most people are going to say both, by the way. Tell me more about that. Let them explain to you what it is that they love about it. Okay. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself at getting started? They're going to tell you where they're at in the process. Okay. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's why a lot of people, they let the prospect say no, and they just say, oh, okay, because I know I used to do that when I first started. So, you just got to build relationship and ask those questions. So what do you need to know or experience to get closer to that 10? And this way, what they want, what's missing for them. Okay. And then everything is on the boards. Everything is on the boards for them to look at this. So you just send them what they're looking for. And then 6, based on what you saw, are you ready to get started? Or partner with the team that's that's a breakthrough opportunity. See, I don't read scripts. It just comes natural on the way I communicate because I've been doing it for a long time. But write down scripts. If you're a script person, read it over and over and over, practice it. And I'm a direct person. So I'm just going to come right out and just say, you know, is it something that you see yourself doing? Is it something that you'd like to, you know, start living a better lifestyle? Is it something that makes sense to you that you'd want to move forward with this? It just has to come natural for me. So, and then I let them talk. And they always lead you to the next step. You know what Chris said, the next step, they're going to lead you to the next step by asking these questions.
I totally agree, Tammy. And number 6, it's, I think, observation. It's another area that most people are afraid to cross, is to ask for the sale. And I'm telling you, if people would be more comfortable making the attempt, they would sign up a whole lot more people into their businesses. So you have to get comfortable, and I get that, but break the ice. And if you feel that there's nothing else to share, nothing else to say, it's okay if they say no. They may not, it may not be no, forever. It may be no, not right now, but it's okay to ask the question. Are you ready to get started? And pause. You don't have to fill the air. Just pause completely. Let them answer. And human nature is, they know they're expecting an answer. They're going to tell you something. And that's when the real work begins, after the question number 6. And another thing that I like to do when I present, and we're done presenting, and I see the person wants to do it, but there's some, you can see there's doubt, and there's questions, and there's insecurities. And then I focus on, I can't say that word. I'm just going to say, how much money would you want to make for this to be worth your time? This is a typical question I ask. And honestly, most people will say something like, $1,500, $2,000 would be actually awesome, would be great. It's because they're not used to, they don't know how big this industry can be. So they tend to measure this in a very kind of small, and that's okay. But then there are some folks who will say, I'd love to make 10 grand a month. I love those because that tells me, okay, this person's thinking big. We can do something with that, right? And another thing is, how many hours would you be willing to put into building your business, to achieve your goals? And often, this person that I met, again, I'm just talking from the trade shows, says, I'm working so many hours. The only time I have available is Saturday. Okay, that's fine. We can work with that. So, and in fact, is you just want them to kind of, and when you ask these kind of questions, that's when they start opening the books, right? And you're not prying into their private affairs. They are talking to you because they want to improve their financial situation in this particular case. And we're trying to see, where can we fit this? Is it something that's feasible for you? So when you ask these questions and they see that it's feasible based on their schedule and time and so forth, then you will find that it will simplify the process in getting people ready to sign up, because you're putting all of these concerns aside. How much time are you willing to give up to build up to this, right? And again, these are all things. Sometimes we may have to reprioritize our activities. I met a lot of people that are so busy, but they're starving. They don't make money, but they're so busy. So the fact is, what do you do that keeps you so busy? Because from what I understand is, you're very busy doing a lot of things, but they're not in line with what you desire. Maybe we can work together and work this out, because this is very, very, very common. So these are all things. And often what I found is, after this conversation, you speak the next day, and people will say, what, it's really interesting. I woke up today and I felt, it's like I felt refreshed. I felt there's renewed energy. See, you've kind of instilled some hope in that person's daily activities and the future by reevaluating certain things that they just kind of took for granted. That's the way things are, right? So again, it's just these are examples. As time you say, it's a qualifying question to try to get them on board. But the fact here for me is, what kind of money that you want to earn, how much time are you willing to invest, what are you willing to give up to get there? These are the three main questions that I work with on a regular basis. And it's amazing how many lives we've transformed over the years. That's all part of the follow-up process. Anything you want to add to that, Tammy?
Now, these are really great questions and common questions. And the thing is to stick to the system, stick to things that are working. Try your best not to reinvent the wheel. When you get really good, you can add your personality and start adding, a comfortable way. If you want to make it a comfortable way of saying something in the phrase, make it a comfortable way, but make sure it's geared towards these questions. And once they have a look at that, they've pretty well told you exactly what they're going to do with this, hypothetically, if they decide to get started. And then you ask them, are you ready to get started? And let them talk. They may say, you know what? I have to talk to my wife tonight. Great. Let's set up another Zoom session where we can answer all your wife's question. Have sit down, watch the video with her, and let's set up a Zoom so we can, talk to your wife and connect to your wife. And these are things that I would say. I wouldn't say, oh, okay, and I would sit back and wait. No, great that he's sharing this with his wife.
Yeah, and again, this is an opportunity for the team building and the relationship. And I agree with you, Tammy, 100%.
Mhm.
And I like your comment, Jasmine. Would you like to start living a better lifestyle? And again, you want to use that comment in the right context, right? To make sure that there might be some context, it might be appropriate, sometimes it may not be.
Yeah.
The fact is, you really want to pay attention and listen to what this person is telling you. And that's what we shared earlier. And by doing that, there is so much you can add to complement the desire of this person. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to fulfill their desires in reference to what they want out of life based on what they have right now. A lot of people, they're just not happy. They're not happy because they have to, they think that that's what I have and that's what I have to live with and that's all I can do. And when you give people a way out, or at least a direction to a way out that can get them to a different lifestyle. And you see, this would be very appropriate right there, what the comment adjustment just made here. And then you could inspire someone to really dig into this. And when you marry that with the incredible technology that Max provide, and you top that up with the trips incentives. And by the way, guys, I did a 40-minute video, 44-minute video that we're going to be doing at the CanFit Pro Trade Show. And it's just awesome, from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. There's one of the years we didn't travel, but anyway, in
diamond trips.
Yeah, so these are the diamond retreats, and it's so much fun, and you see people laughing, and see all of that contributes, right? So you have access to these things, and I'm not saying to send someone a 44-minute video like that. This is for us that we're going to be rotating this at our trade show, but it's available right now. I may want to work on the sound a little bit, but it's available if you go to activeteamtraining.com. You select the Dropbox, the documents, and from there you select Canada, USA, English, trade show, and from trade show you select videos, and it's in there. There's two of them. The other one are all of the product video. And Tammy, you don't know, but I feature you in there somewhere with the Meta Switch. So I hope you don't mind. It's a surprise.
Oh, really? Okay.
The before and the after.
Oh, okay.
But the fact here is, these are great tools that you guys can utilize as you start doing your in-homes and you start doing your videos as people are coming in. These are all things that are great environments. So I kind of went sideline a little bit, but just wanted to mention that as FYI. So
yeah,
back
great
to
before a start of a presentation when people are just sitting around. If you're going back to doing the in-home concept again, which a lot of people are doing, it's perfect. When people are coming in, you just get them seated, make sure they have a beverage, and let them watch this, because when they start opening their eyes and they see all these trips and all of that, I don't know, I see them, and I went on these trips, but I see them and I get excited, because people get excited when they see excited people and they see the beauty of the world.
Mhm.
And then you tell them about the opportunity. It just opens people's hearts and minds, before it even starts. Yeah.
Yeah. And by
So
the way, I
leverage
agree
it,
with
leverage it.
Lucy. Yeah, I agree with Lucy with the word imagine. Just
Mhm,
imagine. Just imagine what an extra
mhm,
$2,000 could do for you. And remember, that's $2,000 US, right?
mhm.
If you want to say just 2,000, that's fine because if they make 1,600 or 1,700, it's almost 2,000 Canadian, right? So these are really powerful. What I agree with you, Lucy. So back to you, Tammy, in reference to the organization.
Yeah, so it's important to have structure when you're building your business, because as you start building contacts, you're going to get a lot of follow-ups over time. At the beginning, it doesn't seem overwhelming, but it can be if you're not organized. And every single person that I connect to, I always have notes about them. I have notes on the date that we had our last phone call, what happened in the phone call, what was the next step from that phone call. I never leave anything by chance. If they say, "Oh, I'll get back to you next week," it doesn't work for me. We need to nail down something. I'm not going to tell them that, but it's what you do. You make sure that you get that next step. So you have that in your schedule and you say, "Are you in front of your schedule? Because I'm just looking at some of the times that would work for me. Hey, by the way, does such and such a time work for you?" And then you're letting them know that you're putting it in your schedule. And then, yeah, that's when you do your follow-up for the next step, whatever it is. It could be sending them information and then having another Zoom session, whatever. So here is a really good sheet to keep yourself accountable. These sheets can be printed up on a weekly basis. And when people say to me, "I'm not making any money," I say, "Well, let's go back and track your sheets." That's always an interesting conversation because that's when you know, when you look at your numbers. Numbers don't lie. If you have, for example, if somebody has done a lot of upfront stuff, but there's no follow through in the back end, that's where you know that they need some mentoring. Okay, so these are really, really important. And then, of course, the conversion. Okay, so the conversion is the enrollment process. So that's why these three are categorized in certain ways, because you want to make sure that there's initial connection, and then you're giving them something to do, and then in the follow-up, it's the decision. So, and again, 80% of your time, you can see here in your assignments. Chris, those sheets are available on
Yeah,
the
it's right here, number 3.
accountability sheets.
Yeah, you go under active team group. Obviously, you would select Canada, USA, if you happen to be in Canada, USA, and then you would select English. And then from the English directory, you will notice, I believe there's one called New Associate Orientation, NAO. And in there, you will find these documents, the Max Action Report there. If you don't know where, it's also on the board. It's all there, folks. You really need just to familiarize yourself with the tools. And that's another thing that's really important is familiarize yourself with the tools that are available to you, because we're evolving, technology is evolving, and Tammy and I are constantly staying up to date with what's the latest and greatest. And the boards are, I noticed even Eric Worre just recently created a board for all of his mentees, the people that he's mentoring with the mastermind. He just started, right? So it's brand new technology, and it's really powerful, and it's free. Now you can create your own, but before you create your own, folks, and you create your own division, just be careful with that, right? You want your team to feel they're part of a big culture, right? Not just a small little group, but a big culture. And you can have yours for certain specific things that you may need, but try not to duplicate things. Instead, complement. In other words, you may have some things that is not on the board that you would like to have, then great. But I would recommend to keep building that board. And this is not something that there's no database with the board. Like, I don't know who gets it, who doesn't get it. At the end of the day, um, what's important is that you create that consistent environment where people can get the info. And anybody who breaks that cycle will find that financially they will be impacted negatively because you're breaking the cycle of duplication. When you do that, unfortunately, the team doesn't evolve past you. So you want your team to not to be dependent on what you do, but they're dependent on the system. And that's the reason why some of us make so much money in this business and others don't, is the ones who do the leverage from the tools. And I do understand that you need to trust the people that are putting these tools together. But Tammy and I have been in Max for well over 15 years, and I will die. I will grow old. Let me rephrase that. I will grow old with this company, right? So the fact here is you're safe. It's a safe environment. And we build this empire, and we keep adding blocks to this empire to expand so we can have more people leveraging and build their own businesses. Our goal is all of you to have this high 5-figure, even 6-figure if you want to, even 7 if you want to, monthly. And I know it may sound a little far-fetched for some of you, but at the end of the day, what you will earn and what you will get is based on your level of belief. Right? If you think this is how much you're worth, well, whatever you do will be measured by how you feel, how much you're worth. I did an interview this weekend with the Ghana team, and there was a really good question on that note. And I spent a bit of time on that. If you haven't seen it, go to the Active Team Group page on Facebook, the Active Team Group page on Facebook, and it's actually recorded there. It was sent to our Facebook Live, and there's some really good information there on some not issues, but questions around the network marketing environment, kind of generic questions. And it was very, very enlightening. So the point here, back to this assignment, is be familiar with your tools and apply them. And folks, this is a serious business. Treat it as such. Treat it as such. If you treat it as a Mickey Mouse side kind of lemonade table, part-time approach, that's what you're going to get, because that's how people are going to feel around you. Okay, we're not selling some products here just to but again, it depends from what point of view, of course, right? Everybody has different values and what they want to put into this. But the fact here, folks, is this is a big business. For me, this business is a multi-million-dollar corporation. That's what our business is worth. Millions of dollars, millions. And of course, we live that style. So we want that for you. And don't think that you can never pass us, because trust me, you can. And some have in our organization. And I'm proud when I see that, because what we've taught has been absorbed, and they've applied it, and they wrote their own novels, if you understand. All we did is show them how to read and write, in matter of speaking, if you know what am I saying with this analogy. And some just wrote novels. They just ran out there and they grew. And the knowledge is the same. And one thing I shared this weekend is it's interesting because we can share the same alphabet and the same ABCs to 10 people. Unfortunately, 2 out of 10 are going to go with this and write novels, and the rest are just going to limit themselves to writing emails and sending little messages, and that'll be the extent of how they communicate with folks. So I'm not saying you need to go write a book here. You understand my analogy. Some people will take this information and grow a mammoth organization, and some will just live within their means, because that's how they see. That's how far they see. So this is something that you need to work on to, because this is the kind of business you can make an absolute fortune. But to help you get there, it's very, very important that you apply the basic assignments and the basic rules that Tammy and I just shared with you here today. So Tammy, why don't you end the call on with your notes?
Yeah. So the assignment part, it's really important to do assignments and stay. That's what keeps you on track. It keeps you accountable. And I recommend never to do this stuff alone. Always be in partnership. I have to say that these 15-minute segments that we do that has turned into 30, and in some cases they go even longer on that accountability process. But this assignment for the 3 steps is to do the 80-20 rule. Very, very important. Look at your percentages where you're building your business in the timing that you're building your max business. and do your 80-20 rule. 80% of the time is new business, anything that has to do with driving new business. And of course, number 2 is to set daily goals as well. So obviously at the night before, you should know what you're up to the next day and set a goal. Because if you don't set a goal and a target, then you're probably not going to reach it. You're just going to wander and life gets in the way, and next thing you know, the day's gone by and it's like, oh, shoot. Anybody have those days? Come on, we've all had them, right? So you have to have structure in this business. And then number 3, of course, is that tracking sheet. That's the best way. Just stick it up on the wall and follow through. People say, oh, I didn't have time to do my sheet this week. Every day, every night, you do Monday, you do Tuesday, you do Wednesday. Don't wait for the week to go by to fill in the slots and go, oh, did I work 1.5 hours or that, you know what I mean? Just every day, that simple discipline is what's going to get you to these levels that a lot of people can't believe that is possible. And it is possible. It's those simple disciplines every single day.
I totally agree. So that brings us to the end of our session, guys. And thank you very much, Denise. And yes, you know what? Trade shows, for me, it's always like a thorn. But you know what? I'm enjoying them. I'm really enjoying it. It's wonderful. You know, with Jasmine and Erica and Tammy and I, we're just having a blast. And it was hot this weekend, my God. And I know I was out of commission for about 2 hours while you ladies were like cooking under the sun. But it was just so much fun. And I just
know, Chris, while you were gone, honestly, we were handing out shooters to the neighbors. And the only ones that had energy through this show was the ones that were having the shooters. The only ones. The rest were baking, and you could tell they were just.
It was hot. It was hot for sure. But it's a lot of fun, and especially when you start adding these contacts into your database and you connecting with them, it's a lot of fun to go back to the basics. I kind of forgot how much fun we can have. Yeah. So we really encourage you guys to participate in trade shows, and you know we're leading right now, the 4 of us, in doing this. And I know the CanFit Pro is going to have a whole crew of folks there. Looking forward to it, and we're gonna just have a blast. It's gonna be a really nice booth. Like, it's gonna look really sharp. I'm telling you, we're gonna attract a lot of eyes, and especially with what the content and the videos we'll have. You'll see, it'll be really cool. People will come in and will come around and stop and check us out. So we'll end on this note, guys. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your evening. And keep in mind, again, every Mondays, we have those trainings, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and evenings. Same time, we have our MVP, Max Virtual Presentation Opportunity Meetings. And I know Myra Paul is doing some, and I know that Lucy is doing some in French during the week. It's all in the active team calendar. I do a world global presentation with leaders, one on 1 o'clock on Thursdays, which this Thursday, unfortunately, I will not be able to make it. Myra Paul, I'll be pairing up with a leader to be able to present. And I'll be for the 3 o'clock with Dr. Albert, who is from Ghana, Double Diamond, and we'll be presenting. This occurs every single week. So, and of course, you can use the maxlook.info, which contains 5 videos in there. And you can take advantage of the Goal C Max, which contains 2 videos, which is just the science video and the timing video that Max created. It's just very simple, 2 videos. So take advantage of these tools, take advantage of the boards, and connect with your team. Stay plugged in, stay the course, don't give up, and follow through in your follow-up process. And I'm telling you, you will get there. So everybody, have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.